Black and gray, I mean, I think that was just the culture, the LA culture, and it's where we grew up and it's what we knew. I'm not sure that I exactly aimed to be it, but then the further I got into tattooing, the more I decided that was the route I wanted to take. I think there's a real beauty in the black and gray. I got into tattooing because I lived in a pretty hood neighborhood, and just a lot of my friends, they're just thug life, I guess you could say. And then and I was the guy who knew how to draw, so they convinced me to tattoo. I didn't really do an apprenticeship. I kind of learned on the streets, but I always wanted to try a different approach to it. And there was a really famous shop kind of close to me, and eventually when I got into that shop, I had a couple really good mentors that that really showed me a route and how to do it and how to approach things. In black and gray and in aging of the tattoo, I think contrast is what makes it last, and especially when you get into realism and surrealism, you need those edges to stay and they hold the piece together. It's there's always that debate about line and no line, and it's actually kind of faded out now. I think a lot of people have started to prove that it is possible to not have an outline and the tattoo can age really well. But it definitely needs contrast for that. When you're preparing your design, you're looking for something that's really cool, but you also are bumping up the contrast because you know what works and what doesn't work. And so I think that all that goes is in the back of your mind as you're preparing. Transparent versus opaques. My favorite is the transparent and the traditional gray washes, because I think that it has this classic look to it, and I don't think that will be uncool. As far as the opaques, I would really love to see stuff healed. I've never seen it healed. White yellows, as everybody knows, and so I'd really like to see, if when they're adding white, are they adding something to counteract with that, so aging, but honestly I haven't seen I don't think I've seen any of them out there and healed, aged, over 5 years. So I think what makes a good tattoo and good work is how does it pop off the skin, can I read it from across the room? How does it look like it's going to age? And then number one is the cool factor. Is it a cool looking tattoo? I always have an ongoing debate with my clients because they come in with a bunch of ideas, and it's but at the end, it still has to be a cool looking tattoo. So for my process, I usually go through emails. I guess I kind of do what I'm feeling like if I'm feeling like doing a certain subject, I don't know, something that inspired me in their email, then we bring them in. I usually ask them to give me a little bit of ideas, bring in some references, just so I could kind of see the stuff that really attracts to them. I ask for artistic freedom, and then, let me be me. If I kind of feel like if they came to me for a reason, then they should give me some freedom. If it's bigger pieces, sometimes I'll go through the effort of doing my own photography and putting things together. So maybe I'll sit down with them, get an idea, and then go out, find a costume, maybe find a model, photograph it all, put it all together. Then I might have to have them come back for a second one, or just so that show them what I've done. And then as far as the tattooing goes, it all just depends on what we're doing, how much detail is involved. Sometimes you could do a back piece in 40 hours. Sometimes it's going to take 60. So my friend Sean Barber, he told me a long time ago, if you want to become a better artist, that you should teach. And it wasn't until I started doing seminars did I realize like, oh, that's why I do that, you know, because before then I was just, you know, I would do things because they look cool, but I don't know if I necessarily had a process that I was following, you know. And so then when I started teaching, I was like, oh, that's why I do that. And then I started putting everything into how I start a tattoo, you know, and, you know, I punch in I usually work from the bottom up, and I'll try to find somewhere at the bottom where it has like the blackest black, right? And when I punch that in, now I have like my whole range of value scale. I have like the blackest black versus their skin, which is now my entire value scale. That's usually how I do my process, my technical. You know, I think the tattoos, black and gray tattoos, they look better aged. I've always thought of them as like a black and white photo where it's always cool no matter what, and like how old the picture is, it always looks cool. So even if it does have a little bit of problems aging, I think that there's still a cool effect on it. I think black and gray works obviously the best with dark skin, because the darker the skin is, you're not going to get that vibrant pop from the colored tattoos. I mean, usually my approach with darker skin is way more contrast than lighter, fair skin, and that just seems to work as far as tattoos go. For black and gray, although I am saturating it as much as I can, when you get into the lighter values, you don't necessarily have to punching them in because they're more washes. So I think there's less trauma to the skin with black and gray, and less chances of something going wrong or the healing, you know. Some of the artists that have inspired me, Robert Hernandez, probably like the Michael Jordan for me, Paul Booth. I've always been somebody that's really into the creativity, and then when I saw what like Robert Hernandez and Paul Booth were doing as far as technical and creativity and combining them, and that's what really stood out to me, and the direction I knew, I was like, that's what I'm doing. Every day I find somebody on Instagram, it's inspiring and depressing at the same time. So I gotta try and keep up with these kids somehow. I'm curious to see where they take it, so I like try to not be a fanboy until I see somebody that really stands out and does something that's like jaw-dropping.